We're now going to turn our attention slightly northwest from Orvieto to the city of Sienna. Sienna is the capital of the Republic of Sienna. So the city controls this larger territory with minor towns and villages that is ruled by a representative government in the city of Sienna. So that's why it's called the Republic of Sienna. Okay. At this time in the Gothic period, Siena is a rising force of trade, commerce, and power because not only is it a link along the Italian peninsula between Florence, Orvieto, and Rome, but it also has sea access. So the Mediterranean is right here, right? And boats can dock and then travel up through Siena territory and then spread trade out through the Italian peninsula or funnel back down through Siena and then have access out into the Mediterranean. So in terms of context, Siena in the late medieval period is this large rising force of power, and it's going to be battling for territory and control of territory with Orvieto, Florence, and we're going to go up here kind of covered up by my circle, but the city of Pisa. So these four major cities are going to be kind of battling for control over the Italian peninsula during the late medieval period or the Gothic period. The reason I bring all of this up is because I need you to understand the historical context about what's going on so that you can understand and appreciate what we see in the artwork made during that time. Art is not made in a vacuum. Artists are living and breathing these worlds and expressing them in their artworks. Our next artwork is located in the Palazzo Publico. It's this large building right here, and it sits in front of this open space called a piazza, or a public space. In Spanish, you'd hear it as a plaza, but that public space, and then the rest of the city of Siena filters around the public space. I want you just a heads up. I want you to travel. I want you to see all of these artworks in person, and I want you to go to Siena. It is a gem, and many people forget about it whenever they're on their tour of Italy. But I highly recommend coming to Siena, and then currently there are these coffee shops and restaurants located along the rim of the piazza. Go get a cappuccino, sit, and it's a wonderful place to people watch. Just spend a day people watching in front of the Palazzo in Siena. We're going to go inside and look at a room as an artwork, and we're going to see how it's a visual expression of Siena at this time. Here's another view of the Palazzo. So the name Palazzo is a palace. Publico means public or the people. So it's the people's palace? What do you mean? It's like their city hall. It's their house of government. Remember, they're a republic. So the rules, orders, the law of the land is going to be defined and disseminated out of the Palazzo Publico. So the building itself is a representation of Siena, the larger Republic of Siena. And when we look at it from the outside, it also tells us a lot about what we can expect from, well, ruling a government at this time. What we have, here's another view of it, is a very dense, heavily fortified structure. Now you might be thinking, I don't see that, Miss Cortez. What do you mean? It looks fancy to me. Here is the ground level, right? And what we see is this overlay of this very thick stonework, and then the stonework seems to almost like thin out or become less heavy or dense as it rises up. The reason for this dense first layer or ground layer or level is because Siena, as I said, it's a rising powerhouse. It has, at this time, constant battles for territory with Florence and Pisa, and these battles are taking place in the city. So this large tower here has bells on it, and they're not just to ring the time of the day. They are warning bells. They are alarm bells. They sound the alarm for any kind of attack on the city, and people know then to hide in their houses or come flooding into the Palazzo Publico, which can then be easily protected on that ground floor with this heavily fortified walls. Also, look at the roof line. These little jagged shapes that you see a lot in castles, those are not just to be pretty. Those are defense mechanisms. What these are called crenellations. Now, I didn't put it down because I'm just kind of going off because I love architecture and I'm a big geek for medieval architecture. But these jagged points here, these little box shapes, are called crenellations. And what they do is they allow for archers to hide behind the stonework and then come out and poof, 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 shoot out any enemies that are coming to attack the Palazzo Publico. You can throw rocks, boiling water, oil, fire, flames, arrows, psh, psh, and then you hide behind these outcrops of stonework. So now, knowing that, when you look at this, you can see how this is a symbol not only of Sienna's government, but also the political climate in the area, that they need to easily, quickly warn their citizens to hide, protect themselves from attack, and within this structure, defend the body of Sienna. At this time, there are so many crazy stories of espionage, betrayal, spies, poison, murder, assassinations, all over the place in the Italian peninsula. And here we are seeing that reflected in the architecture. Let's go inside now and look at the specific artwork. Here it is. So we're inside one of the main meeting halls inside of the Palazzo Publico. And let's just pause and understand the period style, Italian Gothic, and the artist Ambrogio Lorenzetti. And the artwork that we're looking at is this larger room called the Sala della Pace. And it's inside the building Palazzo Publico in Siena. The Sala della Pace translates from Italian to the room of peace. And what we're looking at are these painted images of what peace in Siena should and would look like. What it is are the hopes and dreams of the Republic to thrive in power and in peace. So we're going to, in our next video, look more carefully at this wall here by the artist Ambrogio Lorenzetti. The wall, it's massive, so we're going to look at it in two pieces, but the overall artwork is called The Effects of Good Government in the City and in the Country. So the city portion is this part, and then there's a wall here, that's the city walls, and then the countryside. So that's what we're going to look at in our next artwork. It is very interesting to note that there's a city with a wall. The city walls are not just to be decorative or to mark territory ending. They are very clearly there for protection. And there would often be city curfews where the gates would close at night and nobody goes in and nobody goes out. And the idea was to protect you from attack, from spies, from people who are not supposed to be in there to infiltrate in your city and sabotage you. So we're going to look at what is inside the city walls and what is outside the city walls and how they are the symbolic idea of peace and prosperity for Siena.